Good day. My name is Mercy. I'm the founder of Lawyers Info Hub Academy. It's a platform where we teach law, we explain legal tips to people, lawyers, anyone interested in law. It's a privilege to be here to speak on the topic, the legality or otherwise of assisted reproductive technologies in Nigeria. It's formerly known as ACT or ART. There has been tremendous growth, advancement of medical science in the area of fertility. This contemporary advancement has led to the discovery of alternative methods of human fertility. You know, the quest for procreation is something that people can do anything to to experience because we are in Africa and the African nature makes it very expedient for one to experience fatherhood or motherhood once there is a concept of marriage. But with ART or assisted reproductive technology in full, it gives opportunity for people who are even not even married, spouses, parties to have children genetically connected to them, or sometimes not genetically connected to them, but they can call them their children without really going through pregnancy or without going through the process of sexual intercourse. Yeah, so this great advancement in medicine is being experimented all over the world, and Nigeria is not an exception. In 1989, the first assisted reproductive baby, we call it the test tube baby, was born in Nigeria in 1989. But because the parents were not eager to let go of their identity or to allow the media, to cover the event, so it was not really recorded. But there was another baby that was born subsequently uh, in Abuja Nizia Premier Hospital, and because it was shared on media, people now thought that baby was the first baby, but there has been one that was delivered in 1989 in Nigeria. So there has been a lot of advancement in assisted reproductive technology, and a lot of people have utilized it, and it's still being practiced in our country. Now, because of the desire to have children and the problem of fertility, most people resort to this method because either they have challenges or they have medical problems that maybe they have defied some solution. So they will advise why not try artificial reproductive technology. There are a lot of procedure and it has recorded successes. Yes, a lot of people have utilized it and have children of their own. Um, it's very important that we understand this concept and look at its legality or otherwise in Nigeria. So I've explained assisted reproductive technology as those procedures that help people, to have children without really going through the age-long method of sexual intercourse, which is what is natural method. And sometimes in instances of surrogacy, someone can have a child without really carrying the pregnancy through a surrogate. Now, there are various types of artificial reproductive technology which have been utilized all over the world and even in Nigeria. There are several types of them. We have the artificial insemination known as AI, is the oldest and the simplest of all the procedures. It's kind of similar to in vitro fertilization, but it's on a class. of its own. Is where a sperm is collected outside the body and is now introduced to the uterus for the purposes of conception. The sperm is either received from the husband or from an anonymous donor, a gamete donor, that is not related genetically either to the child or to even to the wife or to the parties involved, but the sperm is gotten from the from the gamete donor. Then it is introduced to the uterus of the woman, for the purposes of conception. And when conception happens, it is now said that pregnancy has occurred through artificial insemination. You know, most times, most people that use artificial insemination, and most people that experience low sperm count, you know, they use this method because the sperm is being extracted and then introduced to the uterus of a woman. We have the in vitro fertilization form known as the IVF. This method is what most people know. They just talk about IVF because that's the only way maybe they know, but there are various forms of assisted reproductive technologies. But IVF for me is something so everyone knows about and is being used predominantly in Nigeria. It's a process where the egg is combined with the sperm outside the body. Fertilization happens outside the body. Then a woman's ovulatory process is being stimulated. Then the sperm and the egg that have been mixed together is now introduced into the woman for the purposes of conception. It involves a process of surgical procedures. The woman will be placed on hormonal drugs to stimulate her ovulatory process before this transfer is being done. The first ever IVF test to baby, that's Louis Brown, it happened in England in 1978, and it was well publicized. The media carried it because it was a great advancement in medicine. And since that time, a lot of people has utilized IVF. That's the in vitro fertilization. IVF has three processes. Starts with the multiple ovulation, where the woman is being induced, is being given drugs to stimulate her ovulation. Then when this ovulation happens, so that her eggs can be taken, then we have the laparoscopy, where when the woman's eggs have not matured, it will be removed from her ovarian follicles through a surgical procedure. Then when the eggs are retrieved, they're now placed in a specially prepared culture and incubated. That's the petri dish. Then before the sperm is being gotten from the man and introduced into the egg before that it can be introduced to the woman. This is now called the implantation stage. The zygote, which has developed up to 48 cells, is now transferred to the woman's uterine cavity for implantation. Before this time, the woman will also be prepared to receive to undergo the implantation procedure, so that the the egg and the egg and the sperm, can be able to form very well. Even though some cells are formed, by the time it's implanted in the woman, the formation also continues. So the woman is placed on a certain medical state to enable her taking this. So IVF is a process. It's a long process, but it's the mostly used procedure. So we have the cryopreservation. This method is not to use because it's an advanced reproductive technology, and it involves the cooling and dehydration of an embryo to allow it to be stored for a long duration. So the embryo is stored for a long duration, and it is usually dehydrated and inserted in a liquid nitrogen where it is now frozen to it's 196 degrees Celsius. So before it is now introduced into the woman. So cryopreservation is where most people donate their gametes, either the egg or the sperm, for storage. And once it is stored and dehydrated, then it can now be used on them at a later stage of their life. Now we have the egg and the sperm donation. This is utilized by a woman who has undergone failed series of failed IVF sessions. So they utilize this method because of the woman's inability to produce healthy eggs. So the eggs now undergo the egg donor, which is another person, I know, undergo through that IVF process. Then the eggs are extracted before it is now utilized or used or used on the woman who has undergone failed IVF process or sessions. Now we have the surrogacy. Surrogacy too is an advanced medical procedure, and it's a bit complicated and controversial because a whole lot of people have their different ideas to it. A lot of people are for it, and some are against it. You know, it has really surrogacy has really received heated or what I say a lot of attack opposition to it because most people do not believe it's ethical, while some people believe it's ethical. So a lot of people, researchers, have written on this topic, you know, because surrogacy splits parenthood. It splits motherhood into genetic, gestational, and social. It creates a complex and a tripartite motherhood cycle. So that's the challenge with surrogacy that has made a lot of people to kick against it. It divides, it splits the motherhood process into the genetic mother, gestational mother, social mother, so you see, a child will come out, will be raised having different mothers. So it's a process why another woman carries a child for another, just with the intention of handing over that child after birth to the other woman while relinquishing all associated rights. A lot of people have utilized surrogacy, whereby some other people are still utilizing it in Nigeria, but they are not really open about it. That is why there's increase in baby factory. You know, most of these people that are being kept somewhere to get pregnant, they are doing surrogacy, but because it's hidden now and it is not legal, that is why it's termed baby factory. You know, surrogacy brings about a combination of persons who are relevant to a child's conception. You know, we have terms like the commissioning mother, the genetic father, husband of the commissioning mother, the carrying donor. So these are terms you hear in surrogacy. So we also have cloning. The cloning too is a very is also known as reproductive cloning. Is where the the use of somatic cell nuclear transfer for the creation of a human being or a child. Human surrogacy involves the use of a assisted reproductive technology to manufacture human beings who would naturally, act like human, like human beings. But people have kicked against cloning, like it is more like placing man in the place of God in the times of creation. The cloning technology is a fundamental shift. The paradigm shift in it. In human science reproduction. It's the most contested form of ART because most people do not believe in it. Most people feel you're going to create a human being. Most people feel it is not ethical, and it has gained public attention. A whole lot of people have utilized it. Even the Wilmot and Campbell, they startled the world by announcing the birth of a sheep named Dolly that was being cloned by a combination of nucleus and adult mammary cell, and an encapsulated sheep egg. So Dolly was made the news because a lot of people had to look into cloning and look what is it all about. Are these things ethical and all of that? So it is important to note that assisted reproductive technology is really a paradigm shift in medical science. It has brought a lot of advancement in biotechnology, it has brought a lot of advancement in medicine, and it has opened doors to various areas of medical science. So that is why we are still having issues about its legality, because most people do not believe in it because of their religious beliefs or background. Most people feel some of these procedures are okay, while some are not okay. Now, we're going to look at, does assisted reproductive technology have advantages? Does it have advantages? Um, yes, it does. Assisted reproductive technology has advantages. It has advantages. You know, one is that it has solved the problem of infertility. Yes, infertility is a problem that most people, that when they go through it, they're a bit depressed. It brings about depression, psychological trauma, emotional trauma. It brings about stigmatizing, discrimination, because yes, we are Africans, and in Africa most people use the measurement, they use parenthood to measure a level of strength, a measure of being a man or being a woman. So when people are infertile, is a problem, because you see them running from pillar to post to ensure that they have a solution to their problem. So ART has solved, to an extent, to an incredible extent, the problem of infertility, and it has also moved conception from the level of sexual intercourse to the realm of non-coital measures. So people don't even need to sleep with each other to have babies. So it has moved it from the traditional sexual intercourse procedure to a procedure where pregnancy can occur without having sex with someone. Now it also brought about the fact that young people, singles, widows, can have children without going through a process of getting married or getting pregnant. So people that are not even married can have children connected to them without the necessity of marriage, intercourse, carrying the pregnancy. So this is a great advantage. It has also, because people who are childless, who are infertile, go through a lot of emotional stress, psychological challenge. So assisted reproductive technology has in a way helped reduce drastically the mental torture, emotional torture, psychological torture, the social stigmatization that people go through because of infertility, especially in the African society where Nigeria falls into. So most people, when people don't have children, they used to taunt them, they used to insult them, they talk a whole lot about them, and it dampens them, it reduces their ego, it affects them psychologically. So assisted reproductive technology has helped drastically to reduce these mental problems. Yes, it has brought joy to families. People who could not have children have been able to have twins, triplets, quadruplets. Most people who are already aged 50s, 60s have been able to go through it, get pregnant, have children, which on a normal day they wouldn't have had without going through the assisted reproductive technology. It has also advanced medicine. I've always said it, I've said it over 3 times here, that it has advanced medicine, it has advanced medical science. It's beyond the realm of sometimes human understanding, but most people thought it can be possible. And here we are. It is possible that pregnancy can occur outside the body, that now a child can be formed outside the body and introduced into the womb of a woman, the uterus of a woman, that a whole lot of processes can be used to achieve pregnancy, to get a child for procreation. So it has advanced medicine beyond the realm of the ordinary. It has also helped to increase multiple pregnancies. Yes, most people do not want to have twins. It gives them the opportunity to able to select: do we want 3 boys? Do you want 3 girls? Do you want 1 boy, 2 boys, or 1 girl, 3 boys? So it has given people the opportunity to select the sex of their child. They've given them the opportunity to decide how many children they want to have at a time. So ART has advantages. So these are some of the advantages. In as much as it has great advantages, it also has disadvantages. Yeah, that's the con of it. At least I forget, another advantage of ART is that it has opened up concepts like the sperm bank, fertility, gamete fertility clinics. A lot of things have opened up. Businesses have opened up fertility clinics. Now most people have moved from the normal clinic to now fertility clinics, the sperm bank, where people go preserve their gamete to use it whenever they want. So these have opened up businesses. It has also opened up various areas of medicine. So we go back to the disadvantages. Are there disadvantages? Yes, of course there are disadvantages. Now, there are perinatal risks associated with act assisted reproductive technology. The challenges of the multi fetal gestations, prematurity, abruption of placenta. These are challenges people face when they go through these procedures. You've seen people who have had several failed IVF and at the end of the day, they've lost their womb. Yeah, we've seen people that because of the hormonal drugs they take to stimulate ovulation, they end up not ovulating again, or they end up and if they end up having hormonal imbalance. So these are challenges associated with assisted reproductive technologies. That's the risk of the monozygotic twinning, which brings about additional growth of abnormalities and twin to twin transfusion. These are challenges. Okay, it has also distorted the family ties. The normal traditional, this child is connected to this person by blood. You see people having children, they're not genetically connected to them, but they are their parents. So ART has somehow distorted family lineage threads, that distorted the concept of parenthood. It has distorted the concept of motherhood. We don't have in a child might have three mothers. I say you have a genetic mother, gestational carrier, you have the social commissioning husband. It has distorted the hierarchy, the concept of motherhood, the concept of parenthood. You will see that through ART2 has been the commercialization of gametes, which obviously that has put a whole lot of people problem. You see people who maybe their parents be seen in another country, young boys, young girls now who use it to make money, to donate their gametes, to donate their eggs, to donate their sperm just to make money. So the unregulated commercialization is a problem. Yes, it's a also the politics involved in the usage of this unused embryo. Most of these women, when they go through IVF and a lot of embryo eggs are being, taken from them, the remaining ones, most of these clinics, because there's no regulation, they do away with them, sell them, do a whole lot of things, illegal things with them. So it's not regulated. So that's the problem. It's a disadvantage. Now the unregulated also unregulated structure of surrogacy. You see where the problem of baby factory I've earlier mentioned it. Most people are now using surrogacy in form by bringing young girls together, promise them heaven and earth, get them pregnant, tell them they will sell the baby, and it just sort of rather than go through the normal route of doing it, they now go through the back door. I don't have the problem of baby factory. It's a problem. It's a menace. A lot of young girls, you see them help. You see them. Sometimes police go over to rescue them. See, most of them are pregnant. They give birth, sell the child. These are because there's no regulation in Nigeria, but just to have a baby, and at the end of the day, someone out there, loses the right to be a child, a mother or a father, because most of these young girls they do not even understand what they've done. Only maybe one day they wake up and say, "I know where my child is. I want to have my child back." So it brings a lot of problem. It brings a lot of problem. Now, so these are the disadvantages of assisted reproductive technology. Now, we're going to look at the regulatory framework of ART in Nigeria. Presently, there is no regulation in place to address the practice of ART in Nigeria. So, this is a huge problem. This is a huge problem. There existence the National Health Act. Now, the National Health Act is the act in China that has brought out laws to regulate the health sector. Now, but this act prohibits assisted reproductive technology. Like Section 10 of the act prohibits it. The sale of gametes, the use of all these things. It prohibits it. So you will say that the legislation in that is presently now that is in use does not cover these extended areas of assisted reproductive technology. So there is no legislation in place. Over the years, a lot of associations, the Nigerian Medical Association, the SOGOD, the Association of the Family Health Practitioners, they've done a lot. They've lent their voices, NGOs, human rights, not family practitioners, advocates. They've lent their voice for the promulgation of a law, a comprehensive, robust legislation for the regulation of ART in Nigeria. We'll see that a lot of fertility clinics, medical practitioners are doing whatever they want. They are doing whatever they want just in a bid to, to make money at the expense of people's life. We've seen people who have died through these processes. We've seen people who have lost their womb through these processes because of it was not done right, and there's no regulation. Anybody would do whatever they want, So because there's no legislation, it's a problem. It's a problem. So the National Health Act does not really cover the assisted reproductive technology, and that is why there's a bill now to amend it, for it to have a robust outlook. And aside that, there's also a bill at the National Assembly, for the establishment of the Nigerian Assisted Reproductive Authority. This bill too, is being brought to address issues of assisted reproductive technology. Yes. So the by the establishment of this Assisted Reproductive Technology Act, it will also look at the establishment of Nigerian Assisted Reproductive Authority to be the commissioning, the regulatory body in charge of ART in Nigeria, fertility clinics, registration, and all of that. So I'm hopeful that this assembly presence, National Assembly will do something about it or look into it, and also if the National Health Act is being amended, the amendment will also cover some areas of assisted reproductive technology, which in one way or the yes would help in its regulation, because we need to regulate it. Country like in Africa, it's only South Africa that has done a robust comprehensive legislation in regulating assisted reproductive technology in their country, and is in their constitution, is in their Children Act, is in a lot of regulations are out there in South Africa regulating ART in their country, and that way it is helping them manage the disease, because whether you like it or not, people will utilize it. People will utilize it. And where anything that is not regulated, we know that it will always that there will be issues. There will be issues in it. So there's need for a quick, enactment of this law to help us, because every day people go through this assisted reproductive technology procedure to have children. So it's a problem that needs to be worked on as soon as possible. So that we are hopeful that our government will do something about it. Now, we're going to look at the ethical issue, because our topic is the legality. Is it legal? The legality of ART, in as much as it is being utilized in Nigeria, we're going to look at the legality. You will see that, for instance, procedures like surrogacy, as much as a lot of people utilize it, you'll see that um, surrogacy contracts they're not enforceable in Nigeria. So in as much as a lot of people still have that contract with the surrogate, at the end of the day pay them money to carry the pregnancy for them. You see that some people can still come back to raise, issues as to I'm entitled to have this child, or I have a right over this child because I bought this child, I carry this child, and all of that. So this is a problem. That is why most people are going behind to do it the illegal way, which ought not to be. Now, when you talk about ethics, it's all about morality. Ethics looks at, morality. We're going to look at the ethical issues that assisted reproductive technology has raised over time. So we now look at the identity of gamete donors. Most people, we have talked about the commercialization of, this gamete. Most hospitals now What they do is that they invite people, they pay them money, they go to universities, tertiary institutions, get young men, get them to produce sperm for preservation, and they pay them off because there is no regulation. When look at the now, a lot of people will come and buy these gametes to use them to get children. And I know they will see that these children might come up becoming maybe a relation of theirs. They didn't know, donated this gamete. Now, when the child is born, the child will be connected to that process. And what if the person grows up to now marry a person who is assumed to be the father biologically? These are issues. So, should the identity of this gamete donor be exposed? These are what our regulations should look out for. Anyone that is taking that is buying gamete or is requesting for it, should the identity of the donor be made known to him or her, so that prevent, so that we rule out the issues of people having biological connection, maybe brothers giving birth to a child they will marry tomorrow as a wife, not knowing that it's their child. So these are issues, ethical issues that have arisen in AROT in Nigeria because there is no regulation. Now the commercialization of this gamete do not. A lot of fertility clinics do what they want. They do what they love. They do it anyhow. For them, it's nothing. So it is an aberration. It's an aberration because I am of the opinion that I am of the opinion that um, garment should not be commercialized. Even if it's going to be commercial, it has to be regulated. It has to be regulated. And I know some most people donate blood to hospitals. So if someone is donating gametes or his egg or her egg or his sperm and is being paid for it, it has to be regulated. So because these fertility clinics are over, they are doing a whole lot illegally, you know, just to make money without looking at the ethical issues. Now we look at the issue of embryo banking and preservation. How long should these embryos be preserved? Most young girls, they release their eggs for preservation. I mean, when they are 40, they feel okay, it's time for me to get pregnant. They go and get them. So our legislation should be able to look at the preservation of gametes, embryos. It should be regulated because most of these fertility clinics, how sure are we that when you give them your egg, that they will preserve it for you, and when you need it, it is yours that they give you. These are issues. You will come back and maybe they've sold yours and they will utilize another person's own. This is where the liability of this medical personnel should be brought to the limelight, because there should be some form of contract signed, entered into by the person who is donating and the person who is collecting. Because if I'm donating my egg for preservation, I should be able to, if I come back for it, how will I be able to know that yes, this is what I donated? So these are the areas legislation needs to come alive, needs to make input. Now, what is the status of unused garments? Most people that go through IVF and other procedures, when they are done, they have three children, two children, they're happy, they go home. What is the status of the unused garments? What do these fertility clinics do with them? What do they do with them? Some of them tell you that they are donating to research. Research over, are you sure? So these are things, measures should be put in place by legislation to ensure that the right thing is done. Yes, a lot of people donate their garments to medical research. So it should also be regulated. It should also be regulated. Now we look at posthumous reproduction. We've seen instances when people, when they want to die, they say, okay, I have my egg stored somewhere in South Africa, for example, or in Dubai. Please use that egg to fertilize a lady or woman for me to have a child. You have seen instances like that. Most people, after they have died, their sperm, their eggs are being used to, produce children. So our legislation should look at instances like this. Yes, in South Africa, it is not allowed. Even if when the disease gives consent, it's not allowed. But These are instances that legislation should look at because these are ethical issues. The child that is born after the death of the father, or the, does someone or a woman have a right to utilize the egg or the sperm of a man who has died without his consent? But eventually, when his consent is not sought and obtained, or when someone knows that this man has a sperm stored somewhere, and the person goes ahead to use it. Yes, we have seen cases where a hotel staff used the sperm of a guest in the hotel and got herself pregnant. And later she started claiming outrageous songs. So these are issues that our legislation should be able to sort out because these are issues that are raising concern. Now, inequitable access to assisted reproductive technology, yes, the cost is very high. That is why it is like the assisted reproductive technology is only for the rich. The poor cannot access it because the cost is so outrageous. In our average Nigerian might not be able to food stock bills. So our regulations should be able to look into it so that it should be affordable for both the rich, for the poor, because infertility is a general problem. It's not only for the rich, it's not only for the poor. So there should be equitable access to reproductive technology. It should not be inequitable, it should not only be for the rich. Now, the prosecution of medical personnel that illegally use or trade on gametes, this is very important. Our legislation should be able to have punishment for medical personnel that are found liable for illegal trading of gametes. This is very important because this will help. This will make others to not to engage in, because when one person is being prosecuted or is being prosecuted, if others might learn. So there should be provisions for the prosecution of medical personnel who commercialize or trade on illegally trade on gametes. Because these are issues when you they legally trade gametes to other people. You see, someone might be here and have children in 5 countries. Yeah, because you didn't know your cousin was not sought. So as because these are human being, these gametes are products from a human being. The person should be aware of whatever use that it to be used, that it to be channeled to us. Yes, I should be able to know what my where my eggs are, who is utilizing my eggs. That's why it's important. It's important. Now, we're going to look at the issue of confidentiality, disclosure of uh, confidentiality, or issue of disclosure. Now, the first test tube baby that was born in Nigeria, I earlier mentioned it that the parents refused that his identity be known, and they respected it for them because they couldn't force their parents to consent to media coverage, so people will know and all of that. Yes, that is in existence, but to date, the parents have refused to allow media have access to the child. Now, for example, it's expected that when couples or when someone is going to a particular hospital to undergo assisted reproductive technology procedure, there should be non-disclosure agreements, contracts. Yes, should the medical personnel disclose, you know, that this person is already here? Yeah, I know my client will be mentioning the names of people that have undergone IVF in their clinic. These are things that is against medical practice. Yeah, so that should be people should be able to sign this non-disclosure agreement both on the person, medical personnel, and on the person who's letting it. If you don't want people to know what you've gone through, it should be kept within your privacy. The medical personnel is not permitted to go out to start telling I perform IVF on Mrs. This, I perform IVF on Mr. This. It should be personal. If the people want to say that, yes. Even the staff in these infertility clinics, also have to sign these non-disclosure agreements. Now, the complication of these are challenges of IVF, which is also part of the disadvantages, complication of the procedure and the quality of assurance. The quality, yes, a lot of people have complained, a lot of people have bitter experiences of what they've undergone in these fertility clinics. They collect a whole lot of money, their body is damaged, they don't have children, A lot of complaints are there. So the quality of assurance is a problem. But when these fertility clinics are being regulated, there's a monitoring team. People can be able to challenge their grievances to the right place, and it is being handled. Then they will sit up to ensure that if you're not qualified, if you don't know what it means to take to carry out assisted reproductive procedure, you don't stand what you can do. So these are the challenges because the quality of assurance is a problem. And also the unenforceability of surrogacy contract, which I've earlier discussed, it cannot be enforced because there's no legislation here. So, but by the time we have a legislation that is controlling these things, then people can be able to, go into it knowing that I can enforce it anytime. If my surrogate tomorrow feels I relinquish my rights without knowledge, and I've come back for my child, and you go back to court, the person who has paid the surrogate should be able to say, okay, this is agreement to sign. The law interprets it. Yeah. So the enactment of a robust legislation on ART is key to solving these ethical issues and problems surrounding ART in Nigeria. Then, in Nigeria, it's also expedient that our government, it's expedient that our government should be able to do all they can to ensure that we have this legislation as soon as possible. Now, what are the recommendations? Yes, what are the recommendations? Proper regulation is key. Our government should do what it can to ensure that it is done. Then the parties undergoing assisted reproductive technology must be counseled. Most people don't know what they're going into. They just go the thing, you just get pregnant like that. They should be counseled. They should understand the procedure, what they're going to go through, whether it is okay by them. A lot of tests should be carried out to know which one is suitable for you. So they should be counseled properly to understand the do's and the don'ts, the pros and the cons. Now, the commercialization of gametes, yes, should be handled, should be taken care of in the legislation, whether it should be encouraged or not. Okay, to what extent can it be encouraged and all of that? It should be in a legislation, which is the guide for us. Now, lawyers should be involved in drafting surrogacy contract. This is very important. Lawyers should be involved. People should not just because it's want to hide it, they don't want people to know what they are doing. Just all of a sudden have a baby, there's a surrogate there, there's a child or a teenager who has just gotten pregnant, you've gotten pregnant, somehow the baby you collected the baby, you have paid her off. It should not be something that should be shrouded in secrecy. A lawyer should be involved in the drafting of a surrogacy contract, so that both the rights of both parties will be captured very well. It's also important that most people, you know, should be able to access it, whether they're rich or not. There should be subsidized cost for ART procedures in Nigeria in all hospitals who are technically the government should be able to say, okay, whether you're poor, whether you're rich, there should be a benchmark for the cost. Most of this, like over in developed countries, the government that takes care of these things. So even if our government cannot take that, at least there should be subsidized cost both for the rich and for the poor. So that way, everybody can have a taste of it, or for those who need it to have children. Because we are Africans, and parenthood, motherhood, fatherhood for us is a sign of accomplishment. So we'll be able to look at the legality of ART in Nigeria. It is happening in Nigeria, but because of lack of regulation, in as much as we have the National Health Act, which is being sought to be amended. So I won't say it's not legal. It is legal. ART procedures is legal in Nigeria. It is happening, but there is need for regulation for us to harness the benefit of ART as other developed countries are doing. I know, because we are getting there. We believe we can get there. So we are hopeful that the National Assembly will do the needful as soon as possible, and let us all lend our voices to this cry to have a legislation to cater for assisted reproductive technology issues in Nigeria. So, friends, I thank you for this opportunity. I know you've learned something today. I know that you can be able to rehearse what I just said to someone else or teach another person because I've tried to make it simple. I've tried to explain it the little way I can, and I know that you are enjoying it. This is my profound gratitude to the class of 1989 for this privilege. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much. I remain Mercy Agogo, the founder of Lawyers Info Hub Academy. It is an online training platform on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, where I train and mentor young lawyers. Thank you.